Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Made in New England interview series, where we talk with New England-based companies and the people who lead them. I'm your host, Steve DeVries, and today I'm joined by Matt Redmond. Matt, thanks for joining us.
No worries. It's great to be here.
So Matt is co-owner of Redmond Fleet Services. So maybe you could give us a little background about yourself, Matt, and how you started your business.
Um, well, how I started the business was with my wife, Tegan. Um, I was just a line mechanic at other shops, working for them, doing great work, but I always wanted to own my own business. I always thought that I could do not a better job, but provide a better service to customers and the people I was working for. So at one point along the way, we decided that we wanted to make the jump, start a business, and try to be better than, or not better, but do better work and be better for the customers and other shops in the area. And I think we've accomplished that.
And when did you launch your business, Matt?
Um, we launched it October 2018, but we opened the doors April of 2019.
Okay, so you're a few years in now, 4 years in or so.
Yep.
So what's driven your success to this point?
Hard work. That's a tough question. I'm very hard on myself. I don't look at myself as successful because I think there's always more that can be done to get more success. But when I opened up the business, I wanted to focus on fleets and more national fleets, if you will. So um, I didn't want to focus on, a guy that has one or two trucks. Not that we don't work on them, but the main point was to get people that have larger fleets, like 40, 50 plus vehicles. Um, because those companies are budgeted, they have a service schedule, they know they're going to be spending money on vehicles. And I wanted to cater to those people because a lot of them get pushed off to the side by dealerships or other small service companies. And I thought, well, these guys are budgeted. They know they have to keep their trucks on the road. And if I can cater to these people and keep their trucks on the road and keep their uptime up and their downtime down, that's a recipe for success. So that's how I went into it. And it's working really well for us so far.
So you're focusing on clients with larger fleets.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
what's an average size of your clients' fleets?
Well, they range. We're still small. So, I do have customers that have 5 to 10 trucks. But I have customers that have 40 or more. I don't know if I can say this on air. You may have to cut it out, but Shred It is one of my good clients. I was working for them. I brought them in previously at another company I'd worked for, and we continue to do all the service for them. And we we service their New Hampshire and Mass and some Rhode Island locations, and that's about 50 trucks from them. We do work for other companies in the area, waste service companies like Pinard, which is now Casella.
Mhm.
They have a large amount of trucks. We don't work on all of them, but we work on the local ones around my area and help support them in their shop. Um, and then we have larger customers like DDA. The gentleman that runs that, he has over 250 trucks, and he has his own service company that works on those, and we kind of take in the more technical repairs and stuff like that. We've really distinguished ourselves. I keep all the latest OEM scan tools, service tools, everything we need. We keep up to date, and we've really made a name for ourselves in diagnostics. Because honestly, after treatment systems and things of that nature are the biggest plague on trucks right now. So,
Okay, so a few years in now, you have your niche.
Yeah.
Before we started the interview, Matt, we were talking a little bit about the people in your business, and your
Mhm.
partner happens to be your wife, Tegan.
Yep.
And so you were telling me a little bit about the role that she plays in the business versus the role that you play in the business. Maybe you could
Mhm.
talk to our listeners about that a little bit.
Yeah. So luckily, my wife is very successful outside of this business. She's worked for medical service companies, medical product companies, and she's had some pretty good roles in those companies. She's very good with numbers and the office side of things, not necessarily just invoicing and taxes and stuff like that, but she really has a very good business mind. Um, and when we started this, I'm like, wow, that's a really good team because I know the trucks, I know how to fix stuff out there. I can sell my services. Um, but the the office side of things, I'm not that good at, and I don't want to be. Um, that's not really my thing. But if she wasn't there, it'd be very difficult. Like you had stated before, a lot of people get into this business and they can be the best technician in the world, but if they don't know how to run the business side of things, they're not going to have great success. And what my when we started this process and I got loans to start the business and we did our SBA stuff and all that, the bank at that point, and I'm not sure if these numbers are correct, but they said 75% of all automotive startups fail within the first year, and then 90% fail within the first 5 years. So it was difficult to get a loan, but we're kind of past that point now, and we're being profitable and doing all the right things and treating employees correctly. And if Tegan wasn't there to make me look at these numbers and show them to me in a way that I can understand, we probably wouldn't be.
So that's an amazing story and partnership because you
Yeah.
said it. There's so many strong, technically strong business owners out there, and then they get into it and they don't have a Tegan, right? Someone who is,
Yeah.
I looked at her profile, and she is a really accomplished business person. So for a business owner that doesn't have that type of skill set in their business, it can be really challenging. And so I think it's amazing that you recognize that, and
Hmm.
the two of you have built a successful business as a team, right? And that's what
Yeah.
it takes. It takes business sense, it takes technical sense, and one generally isn't successful without the other. So congratulations to the
100%.
two of you on that.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic. So as you're operating the business, right? So what are some of the key things that you look at, metrics or indicators in the business that tell you that things are good or the things need some work?
I mean, the first thing is efficiency, right? I mean, if the technicians are not getting jobs done in the right amount of time, we're losing profitability because that bay, right, has say 8 or 9 hours a day of work that can be done. And if they're only getting 4 hours a day out of it, you're losing half a day. So efficiency in this industry is huge. Um, and we have changed things almost every year to improve that. And that's where Tegan comes in. She can look at all that and say, hey, these guys are not efficient there. But they're very good at here. And we try to move things around to make that work. Another thing is parts. In this industry, there's a lot of overhead because you might be spending 40,000 to 100,000 a month just in parts. So you have to make sure your parts margins are within a good profitability range, and they're not always on everything. You know, say you do an engine job, you're actually making a lot less on parts than if you are a brake job, right? Because you can't make whatever your target profit margin is on an engine because it's such a large purchase, right? Your margin goes down as the parts go up. So, that is a very big thing that a lot of people don't understand, that you really have to look at those margins and parts and make sure that you're within profitability. And sometimes you just have to say no to a job because it's just not profitable. Somebody else could come in and undercut you, and you just say, you know what? It's not for me. It's worth to pass on that job than to take the hit.
And I've seen that, right? Especially with a lot of small business owners, they're taking the job just because they want to get the revenue, but they're not necessarily realizing the impact on their profit margins at the end. So another great
Right.
lesson there for our listeners.
Yeah. I mean, you can do $1 million a year, but if you're only making 5% at the end of the year, you're not making money, you know? So you got to put yourself in that position.
Absolutely. So, Matt, what excites you most about the future of your business? So you've been in business about 4 years now. You look out on the horizon, or maybe you're in your fifth year, but you look out
Yeah,
on the
fifth year.
horizon. You look out on the horizon. What do you get excited about when you jump out of bed to go to work every day?
Um, there's a few things. I mean, there's the business side of things that I get excited about, but then there's also the personal side of things. What I find really amazing is that now I'm in the position where I have employees that count on me, and I help support their family by giving them a job here to give them the opportunity to succeed. And you know, I find that I find that pretty awesome. Like that I can build a business that somebody can work at that they can provide for their family for. And I think that's pretty awesome. Like that excites me to know that I'm having an impact on somebody and their family in that way. Like that's awesome. And when I think of things, I always think about my employees and how that's gonna affect them, hopefully positively and not negatively, and I always want them to be successful because I feel that if your employees are successful, that's going to drive me to be successful, right? If your employees feel underappreciated or they're in a bad work environment, I don't think you can run a good business that way.
I agree 100%. So
Yeah.
there's a term for that. It sounds like you are very much into uh, servant leadership methodology, and
Yeah.
that's absolutely, in my opinion, best practice for running a business is making sure that your employees are thought of every single step of the way and ensuring that their success is part of your success and vice versa.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So flipping that around now, we've talked about what excites you. What concerns you when you think about the future of your business?
A lot of things. Economy, one of them. Luckily, the trucking industry, even through COVID, didn't get the hit that other industries did because everything moves on a truck. And during COVID, people were doing more orders online. So that drove up, I mean, that had a huge spike in trucking. Um, that being said, there was a lot of companies that shut down. So it was a little strange time there, but everything's kind of getting back up. Um, the other thing that really concerns me is technicians. A lot of people coming up, new people, don't want to get in this industry. This entire industry has a huge technician shortage, and it's going to put a lot of people out of business. And I'm really, really concerned about that because right now we're looking for a couple of people, and everybody says just hire a warm body, get them out there, have them do something. But that doesn't really work. If you don't have qualified people that are going to give you the product that you want at the end of the day, and they don't fit well with the people that you have, it goes back to not making a good work environment. So it's difficult to find the right people. That is very concerning to me.
So here's something that I talk to some of my clients about who end up sharing concern because it's not just your industry. It's a lot of labor intensive industries that people are
Yeah.
concerned about having enough talent, and it's a legitimate concern. What I tell people is build your business as having a reputation for being a great employer, right? And you just talked about
Yeah.
that. You talked about watching profitability. You talked about taking care of your employees. So we know technician, just from my own experience, and I'm sure you've seen it too. Uh, Technicians talk, right? They know each other. When you build a reputation for being a good employer, uh, as time goes on, they will find you. So I would say keep doing
Yeah.
what you're doing as far as taking care of your people, giving them a good working environment, don't not losing sight of the fact that they're the ones who are out there doing it. And I think
Yeah.
you'll have a leg up on the competitors that don't have that.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that is good advice for sure.
Well, so this whole show is called Made in New England. It's about New England-based businesses and the people who lead them. So let's talk about being in New England for a second. You're in Hudson, New Hampshire, right in
Yep.
the center of New England. Any pros or cons that come to mind when you think about doing business here in New England?
I mean, the whole Northeast is expensive compared to other parts of the country. Um, Pros or cons? I don't know. I grew up here, so I love the state, right? I mean, I love New Hampshire. I love the surrounding states. Maine's great. Vermont's great. Some parts of Massachusetts are great. You know, but the whole area is great. And pros or cons, I don't know. I mean, I look at it as all pros. Like this is just where I want to be. So to me, it's a pro. I mean, there's great people around here, great customers. There's a lot of business around the Southern New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine area. And the taxes in New Hampshire don't hurt. I mean, that's good, you know.
Absolutely.
So I mean that
All good
no, I
things.
mean, yeah, I don't think there's any cons other than just the Northeast being generally a little more expensive than other parts of the country.
I think that's fair. I think it's a fair assessment. So,
Yeah.
last question, Matt. So, any advice for budding business leaders? You told us your story that you went out on your own after doing it for other people's business for a long time. So, you're an entrepreneur. What types of entrepreneurial advice could you give to our listeners?
I'm not sure I'm super qualified to give advice, but I will try. Um, if you have the mindset to start your own company, to be successful, and you have the drive, you should do it. But it's not all unicorns and rainbows, right? I mean, you get into it, you're going to have to work 10 times harder than anybody else that's working for you. You don't just open up a business and sit back and watch the money roll in. You got to do a lot of hard work. You know, I think people get the impression that when they work for somebody, they say, "Oh, well, his job's easy." It's not. Nothing about it is easy. Um, but like I said, if you have the drive and you have the motivation to do it, you should absolutely do it. I would encourage anybody to do it. And what's the worst thing that can happen? You fail, you start over. I mean, it's scary and it scared me, but at the end of the day, at least you can say you tried, right? And you might have great success. You might not, but go ahead and do it. Jump right in.
I love it. Great mindset.
Yeah.
So, Matt Redmond of Redmond Fleet Services, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
All right. And everybody, thanks for listening and watching. I look forward to bringing you another episode soon enough. Have a great day.